Every part of the plan had the same result. It concentrated smokers to create problems that don't now exist. Now, smokers are scattered, creating no concentration of smoke. Smokers were mostly on the periphery of the patios, which is what I tend to do. Non-smokers were not being overwhelmed in a cloud of smoke.
And I want to thank the mayor of Calabasas for coming here to tell us how we should live our lives. I personally have chosen not to go or step foot in Calabasas since they passed their ordinance. I live in West Hollywood because it's not Calabasas or Burbank or Santa Monica or Los Angeles.
And let's not forget that nicotine is a drug, just like alcohol is a drug. And it's reasonable to have restrictions on alcohol, and it should also be reasonable to have restrictions on where nicotine can be. And I don't think we need to accommodate and bend over backwards various addicts who feel that they have some sort of right to do whatever they want, wherever they want.
The definition of liberty in Wikipedia is the concept of ideological and political philosophy that identifies the condition to which an individual has the right to behave according to one's own personal responsibility and free will. And there are a lot of people that feel like this is being taken away from us if you do enact this smoking ban.
The Coalition for Tobacco-Free Los Angeles County supports strong tobacco control policies that will reduce or eliminate involuntary exposure to secondhand smoke. The establishment of smoke-free outdoor dining in West Hollywood will not only protect residents from exposure to secondhand smoke, it will also create environments which will help current smokers cut down or quit and support them to be smoke-free.
I have parents, thank you, John and Abby. I don't need the city to tell me when and where I can smoke. I moved here because I felt that it supported a lifestyle that was all inclusive of everyone.
Soho House has based its business plan on creating a home away from home for its members. We are requesting consideration be given to the staff's recommendation relating to the creation of designated smoking areas as found in the staff report. We are aware that any area so designated would require review of a smoking operations plan by the city. An inclusion of a designated smoking area in the new ordinance would provide Soho House the flexibility it requires to serve its members and their guests.
West Hollywood is a liberal city, and there are a lot of citizens here are gay, and we come out here to have a good time. And if the ban passes, I guarantee you West Hollywood and the clubs will not be the same.
I believe there was not enough opportunity to promote more city resident input, and there is not enough effort put towards approaching the issue uniquely different than other cities by trying to create a real substantive anti-smoking and impact of smoking educational campaign.
The American Lung Association in California supports strong local regulations that protect the public from harmful effects of secondhand smoke. We have a hard time endorsing this draft ordinance given all the exemptions it contains. As written, this ordinance is not conducive to public health.
I'm totally against the ban on smoking. I believe the council has really overstepped their bounds and kind of invaded personal rights. Besides the fact this whole buffer thing doesn't work, tables are 5 feet from each other. You're going to get the smoke regardless of where you are. It should be left the proprietor of any business. If they want to have a smoke-free environment, that's their decision. It's not the government's.
You know, people telling you can't do this, or you need to be this way, you need to be that way. So I think we need to be careful about what we tell people they can and can't do, because, I don't know, a lot of people come to West Hollywood for a reason. And if you start taking the reasons away, there might be some place else to step up in its place.
These restaurants in this climate have really suffered, and it's coming at a bad time. We don't know where it will go, and I'm all for the health of the employees and other people that are around there. But I hope as you consider this ordinance that you will consider a footprint for restaurants and for clubs and for areas like pools in the hotels that already make those choices. They already have the freedom of choice to decide as a business whether they're smoking or non-smoking.
I want to speak against the notion of designated smoking areas. Having designated smoking areas in restaurants goes against the fundamental rationales for this ordinance, the health of customers and the health of employees. Restaurants should be safe work environments in this liberal city of West Hollywood, where we have long cared about the health of the people who live and work here.
I am a resident of Torrance, but I am also a visitor to West Hollywood and a patron of its restaurants. I would like to thank the City Council for taking on one of the most important steps to protect and improve people's health by creating more smoke-free spaces, especially as the dangers of tobacco and secondhand smoke are increasingly well documented.
Residents, both current and potential, and visitors to our city will appreciate the good decisions that you make on their behalf on this issue. The alternative does not seem to benefit our reputation as a city with great vision.
Environmental Protection Agency classified secondhand smoke as a Class A carcinogen, a substance known to cause cancer in humans with no safe level of exposure.
I apologize to anyone in recovery offended by this generalization, but it has been my experience amongst many of my friends living in recovery that many turn to caffeine and cigarettes as their new vice. By prohibiting smoking at restaurants and coffee houses, you are not stopping them from smoking. You are simply limiting the options they have to relax with friends, enjoying conversation, and, well, yes, a comfortable environment other than the bars and nightclubs to smoke in.
You know, in many ways, this looks like a ban in search of a problem. West Hollywood has always gone its own way. When Prohibition was enacted many, many years ago, LA enforced it, Santa Monica enforced it, Beverly Hills enforced it. But West Hollywood went its own way, and that's how we got the Sunset Strip.
I came to this city to get away from control. I don't want to be controlled. I'm an adult. I make my own choices. Everybody that comes into our business makes their own choice. It's their choice to come out and enjoy themselves. When they come out to a bar, they know what they're coming to. If they don't want to smoke, they won't go to the patio. If they do want to smoke, that's where they go.
You know, we've talked to other nightclub owners, and we're saying, do passerbys like just start complaining about the smoke? And the answer, unequivocally, is never. So I'm left to assume that this measure is coming from the top down, that you've met with outside lobbyists who have this interest in mind and want us to get in lockstep with the city of Los Angeles. I used to reside in the city of Los Angeles for 30 years, and they've never had a good idea.
People all over West Hollywood say, Gene, you don't look anything like 90. You don't even have hardly any wrinkles at all. Why? I never smoked. That's why. Look at my face. Compare it to some of your friends who are 60 and 70 years old.
When I was 13, I had my first job in the city at the 7-Eleven on La Cienega and Holloway. And at 13, I realized we sold a lot of beer and a lot of cigarettes at that location. And it's because it's a nightlife city. That's the character of this city. It has a life after 7 p.m. Beverly Hills does not. It's a ghost town. Santa Monica, Calabasas, they're ghost towns.
I'm a non-smoker, and I'm somebody who puts a lot of money into businesses in this community. I just recently moved here from Simi Valley, and I would have expected that that city would have passed an ordinance like this before the city of West Hollywood. And I'm starting to think if I actually made the right move to come to West Hollywood.